You know, of all the things that could have happened on my birthday, this one definitely not the best. Could have been better, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, you know, we look at like fucking CIA director William Colby died on the day I was born. You know, so that's kind of interesting. It's interesting.
I don't know if that's also good.
Well, what do you mean the CIA? Big Fed over here. Anyway, hello, my name is Fred Stewart, and welcome to Haunts, Graves, and Omens. With me, as always, did I say Fred Stewart? Frederick Graves. Jesus Christ, what am I doing? I'm Fred Graves. That's Taylor Graves.
Hello.
And with us running cameras and sound is Bill Graves.
I'm digging my grave every day.
I don't know what's happening. I think writing this episode has scrambled my brain. Scrambled the Graves' brain.
See, here's the thing.
The main vein. Yes?
Here's the thing that people don't know is that we recently just adopted Bill.
Yes.
Bill, I'm very proud to be here.
Bill, come sucker on your papa's teats, Bill.
Oh.
Dog, I love you, but I'm not ready to enter that level of friendship yet.
One tastes like Guinness, the other one tastes like easy squeeze cheese. You can choose which side.
Bro, you had me at Guinness, but then you lost me with the cheese whiz. Because I don't want any...
You talk back to your father!
I was like... I
talk back to your father, Bill!
I was like, I don't want any cheese from under any fold or off of any teat, unless it's from a cow. But cows don't even produce cheese themselves. You have to make it.
That's true. Thank you for the
That's what the government tells you. That's what Big Cheese wants to tell you. But we know the fucking truth at Haunts, Graves, and Omens.
Tillamook, we're looking at you.
Yeah, we're looking. I'm watching. Taylor, I don't have a news story this week, but there's one that I wanted you to cover.
Yeah.
Can we please talk about it?
We can. By the time this comes out, I'm sure it'll be old news.
Oh, yeah. We're recording this way in advance. Way in advance.
A truckload of over 410,000 special edition Formula One car-shaped Kit Kat chocolate bars were stolen in Italy.
How many?
410,000.
410,000?
Yeah.
Limited edition Kit Kats.
Yes.
Were they
I didn't think it was that much.
Anywhere else or just for the Formula One there in Italy?
I assume it was just for Italy, but yeah, it was stolen in Italy by thieves posing as law enforcement.
That's so fucking cool.
So on March 26th, on a stretch of highway outside Turin, a truck loaded with 12 tons of Formula One car-shaped Kit Kat bars.
12 tons of Kit Kats.
So in total is 413,793 bars of Kit Kats.
There were 795. I ate 2 of them.
Yeah, there's actually significantly less than there was originally when we hijacked the truck. All of it is quite delicious. I'm not gonna lie. It was all quite good.
So, I mean, these are limited edition Kit Kat bars in miniature Formula One cars. They have like sculpted wings, stylized tires, and intricate detailing. And they're hitting the black market.
Oh my god!
There's a black market for Kit Kats. If you didn't know,
I didn't know that. Hey guy, hey Bill. I see you in this dark alley, Bill.
Hey,
you want to buy some fucking chocolate?
What are you buying? What are you selling?
I sell illegal hand grenades and tech nines on this side. Open this up and it's all melted.
It's a candy shop.
Turns out if you put a bunch of fucking Kit Kats against your body for a long time, they just melt. Do you want some lightly used melted Formula One style Kit Kat bars?
Hey, well, break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Thank you, Kit Kat. No.
I won't do that.
Yeah, so
buy it wholesale.
Apparently somewhere along the route, the vehicle was intercepted by individuals posing as law enforcement, and within minutes, they removed the driver, restrained him, and then by the time authorities were alerted, the truck had disappeared.
Oh.
So fucking cool. The Fast and Furious 11 or 15, 20, whatever's the next movie that's supposed to come out. Can't wait. Kit Kat heist.
Kit Kat heist. I'm like thinking too, like when when you think of the number of heists that have transpired lately, especially taking prominent artwork, maybe these guys were just getting some practice, and that there's like a bigger heist on the way. Like they're about to break into Coca-Cola in Atlanta and release to the masses the true formula of Coca-Cola. If that happens, I was not responsible. I'm just gonna say that.
I think Bill was part of the
Bill
Kit Kat
knows.
heist.
Bill knows a little bit too much, I think.
Where were you on March?
Squeeze them, boys. Turn them into Kit Kats.
Where were you on March 26th?
What day was it? Was it a weekday or a weekend? Because if it was a weekday,
We can check, I guess.
I was working tirelessly. If it was a weekend,
You were in Italy.
I was probably in Italy eating a whole bunch of Kit
Weekday,
Kats.
looks like.
Yeah, no, I definitely was at work then.
I don't know. That sounds like someone who stole a bunch of Kit Kats would say.
Yeah. Pretty suspicious there, Billiam.
I'm gonna put this on the record. I don't need to steal chocolate. I am chocolate.
Smooth chocolate, baby. Anyway.
Also, I guess cargo theft, like of food and beverage shipments, are really frequently targeted in Europe because it's easy to resell, difficult to trace.
You want to fucking do a whole deep dive into that? There was like, I don't know how much Guinness stolen like years ago. Like, I'm talking like hundreds of thousands of gallons worth of Guinness just disappeared.
Interesting.
And then ended up right in my fucking belly. That's what I didn't love. Now I'm showing you. I'm showing you my true kinds. Anyway. Trying to get some laughs in before we start today's episode because it is going to be dark. It is full of darkness. I would say the first half of it, we can make fun of this guy. And then after that, not a lot of jokes will be happening, if any at all.
Okay.
Now, I was born on April 28th, 1996. That much is known.
Yes.
And my 30th birthday is coming up. This will actually come out the day before my 30th birthday. But there was actually a significant event that occurred on Sunday, April 28th, 1996. And that is what we're here to talk about. Are you guys ready to get into it?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
All right. Sunday, April 28th, 1996, Port Arthur, Tasmania, Australia. The sun shines over the historic Port Arthur penal colony as soft waves lap against its shores. Bill's laughing at the word penal colony.
It's amateur hour over here, folks. Sorry.
Well, Bill, laugh at this next spot. The serene landscape will soon be filled with the sounds of distant gunshots, screaming, and the desperate pleas of victims to a man who only has one thing on his mind: murder. This is the story of the Port Arthur Massacre.
Oh, man. Okay. Now,
Go ahead, Bill.
Waiting.
I have a very limited knowledge, but if I think I'm getting this right, this was the thing that caused Australia to have the buyback of all of the weapons.
Buddy, we're gonna get into it.
That is so good to know that. 'Cause
Oh yeah.
I thought that I knew a little bit, and then as soon as you said that, I was like, oh shit, here we go.
This has been a story that I've wanted to do on HGO for literally years.
Okay.
And I feel like it was only fitting to do it on what is going to be the 30th anniversary of the massacre.
Okay.
You know, kind of tell the story of survivors and heroes alike who fought or did their best against this guy. But
Right.
to fully unravel what is Australia's largest mass shooting, we must look into that of the shooter. That being Martin John Bryant, born May 7th, 1967, at Queen Alexandra Hospital in Hobart, Tasmania. Martin was the first child of Maurice and Carleen Bryant. The Bryant family home was in Lena Valley, Tasmania, but they would often vacation to Carnarvon Bay, which was just adjacent to the Port Arthur Historic Site. And for those of you who are having trouble picturing where exactly that's at, it's just south of Ladies Bay and Stingaree Bay and Long Bay and just west of Stinking Bay.
Oh.
Hope this helps. So
No.
yeah.
I personally like Old Bay.
Oh, I do like Old Bay. I think I'm going to go to, you know what bay out of those I'm going to? Taylor's going to Ladies Bay, but I'm going to Stingaree Bay.
Stingaree Bay.
I'm going to be stung by whatever's there.
They seem like stingrays.
We're going to find out. As you might imagine, Martin was a bit of a difficult child, as any mass shooter generally is. Even his own mother in her 2011 interview said that she called Martin annoying and different as a child who, quote, frequently broke his toys. You know, just a mother's cool way of describing her child. They were difficult and annoying.
I don't know that breaking your toys qualifies you as difficult or annoying. I think that just qualifies you as a child.
I think so.
I think kids just do that.
I think kids just kind of do that.
Yeah. And if you're going through a ton of toys and it becomes unattainable, then that might be entitled child.
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't say that makes you.
this part might kind of tie in a little bit to it. Martin was prone to violence and aggression at a very young age, forcing his parents to take him to a psychiatrist. That psychiatrist, who examined Martin, told the family he, quote, would never be capable of holding down a job due to his aggravating behavior. Now, I don't really know what it means by aggravating behavior, but I imagine something like this.
That's enough of that.
See? So
I would just qualify that as annoying, not necessarily aggravating. You almost just
see?
put the mic in my face.
Aggravating behavior.
It's not aggravating. It's just annoying.
Don't make me continue this bit. It's only supposed to be the one time.
You're going to be very aggravated by the end of
I'm
this.
just fucking aggravated. You're like him. Locals who knew Martin recalled him as having abnormal behavior, such as pulling the snorkel from another boy's mouth while they were diving, or cutting down trees on a neighbor's property without reason. Kind of just erratic behavior, right? In 1973, at the age of 5, Martin was enrolled at the Friends School in Hobart, Tasmania. There, Martin was disruptive and sometimes violent student who suffered severe bullying from the other children. And the more I read about Martin's life as a youngster, I was like, once we kind of start learning about his mental development and the way that he is later on, you kind of go, oh, he should not have been around people like this.
Yeah.
There's a certain kind of way we could have handled this differently.
I'm still caught up on him just cutting down trees.
Yeah, I'm
for
cutting
no
down
reason.
trees.
Like,
cutting down trees.
I'm still caught up on him just like going to a neighbor's yard and cutting down trees like that. What?
Yeah, I'm cutting down trees.
Like,
Yeah, taking your snorkel, cutting down trees.
first of all, if your child has aggravating behaviors to you, if you think that they're being aggravating, don't give them an axe.
Mother, will you give me a chainsaw?
No,
Give me a chainsaw to cut down trees.
no.
I stole one.
Oh,
I'm cutting down trees.
don't.
Doing it.
I like
It's just that, and it's like, well, there's nothing that can be done.
maybe take the chainsaw away
No.
or the axe, whatever he has. Maybe just take it away.
Nah, do it with my bare hands.
I was going to say, bro, like literally
Put it up on a really high shelf, then he can't get it.
being a fan of Taika Waititi, that is actually a fun accent you're doing right there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So he was described by teachers as being distant from reality and unemotional, which is kind of behavioral signs you should notice as from a kid pretty much right away that are kind of red flags. So after Bryant was suspended from Newtown Primary School in 1997, psychological assessments noted that he did indeed torture animals. Not good. obviously. He returned to school the following year with improved behavior, but persisted in teasing younger children. He was transferred into a special education unit in the Newtown High School in 1980, where he deteriorated both academically and behaviorally throughout the remaining of his school years. I'll get into why he was kind of in there. I mean, obviously the behavioral stuff is one thing, but
Yeah.
he was in a special education unit for a very specific set of reasons, and you'll kind of understand later on. That will also raise a lot of questions about when we get to the massacre of how and why, but it'll all come together, I promise. But in 1979, at the age of 12, Martin would actually end up on TV for the very first time. This time for burning himself with a firework so bad he ended up in the burn unit at the Royal Hobart Hospital. During the interview, he describes how he tried and failed to stop the wick of his colored skyrocket before it inevitably detonated. Right? Fucking around with fireworks.
Why would you try and stop it?
You trying to? Fucking the wick was going crazy. But the section of the interview that really does shows his mindset is the end, where the host asks, "Do you think you'll be playing with firecrackers anymore?" Sorry for my terrible Australian accent, Australia fans. To which Martin replies, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So he goes, "You gonna be thinking of playing firecrackers anymore?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes,
Absolutely.
"Don't you think you've learned a lesson from this?" And he goes, "Yes, but I'm still playing with them."
Still playing with him.
Which seemingly shows no due regard for safety at a young age. He just is like, "Well, yeah, I got burned, but you ever played with firecrackers before? They're kind of the shit, dude. They're kind of the coolest thing ever." Which is like, I kind of get it, but I hurt myself with firecrackers as a kid. Haven't played with firecrackers since. So do with that what you will.
I think that just shows the difference between men and women, because I've never played with a firecracker.
Bill?
Yeah, I have. Well, here's something, and my mom loves this story, even though it was setting me up for failure. She didn't feel like a Roman candle was safe for me, so her idea was to put a couple of them in like a see-through storage box, and then it started shooting them off and was flying down the street. And then there was like a flagpole, and then she was like, "Yeah, don't hold on to it. You can put it in the flagpole hole." And then it started shooting them off like artillery shells. And that day I learned you can't hold on to Roman candles, but you can put them anywhere you want and just see what happens.
It's true. You can absolutely do that.
Like, I mean,
You fucking see what happens.
you can hold them. You just weren't trusted.
Yes, I wasn't trusted to hold them
Oh, dude.
at all.
I distinctly remember my aunt and my uncle handed us a bag of a fucking like a sandwich bag
Yeah.
full of firecrackers, and it was like, "Here's lighters. Have fun."
Have fun.
Yeah.
That's how my dad was.
Yeah, we were just doing that shit all the time. It was awesome. So descriptions of Martin's behavior as an adolescent show that he continued to be disturbed and outlined the possibility of an intellectual disability.
Okay.
Surprise, surprise. When leaving school in 1983, he was assessed for a disability pension by a psychiatrist who wrote, quote, "He cannot read or write, does a bit of gardening, and watches TV. Only his parents' efforts that prevent further deterioration." He doesn't do anything. Can't read, can't write. Garden sometimes, watches TV. That's all he does.
Mm.
Doesn't have any friends. He goes on to say he could be schizophrenic and parents face a bleak future with him. Martin received a disability pension, though he worked as a handyman and gardener, which gardener, yes, handyman,
Yeah.
that's up to you. In an examination after the massacre, forensic psychologist Ian Joblin, who actually we'll talk about later on, found that Bryant to be borderline mentally disabled with an IQ of 66, the equivalent to that of an 11-year-old child. So, I think Ed Gein had an IQ of 50 something.
Oh,
Yeah.
so he was even worse. Yeah.
Yeah, he was even more. Even more what, Bill? Go on. Good.
Was bro, we'll walk that
You call
back.
me stupid? You call me dumb? I'm not fucking dumb. You're dumb. Idiot. So, while awaiting trial, we're kind of skipping a little bit for a second. Martin was examined by court-appointed psychiatrist Ian Sale. Okay, Ian Wright. Different Ian, who was this thing I will talk about later on, who was one of the opinion that Bryant, quote, could be regarded as having shown a mixture of conduct disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity, and Asperger's syndrome, now known as
Just
autism.
plain autism, yeah.
Plain autism.
Yeah.
Not train autism. Plain autism, according to Taylor.
Oh my God, man.
Is that what you have because you love planes?
I do love planes, but I took my RATS test and it was lower than yours. Not even on the spectrum.
We knew that yours would be lower than mine.
Oh, fucking way lower, dude. Single digit or double digits, but like low double digits.
I still feel like I need to do that. I've got to try it out.
You should try it. But
You should, but I have a guess.
So we kind of look back at Martin Bryant's history growing up, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Having a hard time making friends.
Yep.
Bullied a lot, kind of also trying to bully people, but then he would just get bullied back. Couldn't read, can't write, and some of those things. So you started going like, oh, he definitely had some sort of autism,
Yeah.
some ADHD going on.
Sure.
So like you go, okay. Like it kind of explains why his behaviors were doing whatever. And then also like the aggressiveness, right?
Right.
Not people who have autism are aggressive, but you often see those who have the mental cognitiveness of certain individuals who have that. They tend to act out. We were just talking earlier today when you came over
Yes.
of a person that you work with due to your job, and they are like self-harming themselves by hitting themselves.
Yes.
So it's like it's just a fact of the matter of how it is. But the way Martin Bryant does it later on will be unlike anything that has ever happened. Okay. Furthermore, continue on. Excuse me. Psychiatrist Paul Mullen, hired at the request of Martin's legal counsel, found that he was socially and intellectually impaired. Shocker. Furthermore, that he did not display any signs of schizophrenia or mood disorder. Mullen concluded, quote, though Mr. Bryant was clearly a distressed and disturbed young man, he was not mentally ill. So, he's distressed, just not mentally ill, which I don't think so. I don't think so. Considering we're about to talk about a lot of death later on.
Granted, you do have to remember this is the 90s.
This is the 90s,
So
yes.
it's a little different.
A little bit different now. In early 1987, when Martin was at age 19, he met 54-year-old Helen Mary Elizabeth Harvey, an eccentric, wealthy heiress, to share in the to a share in the Tattersall lottery fortune while looking for new customers for his lawn mowing service. This is a segment of the story that is fucking bizarre.
Okay.
I can't preference that enough.
Okay.
He's going door to door, right?
Yeah.
Trying to mow people's lawns. He goes to this like dilapidating, like basically falling apart mansion, and this very eccentric lady in her mid-50s is like, "Oh, hello there, g'day, g'day," and they start hanging out. Helen also lived there with her mother, Hilza. And they befriend Martin, and he regularly starts to come over and hang out in their mansion in Newtown, and assisted with the tasks such as feeding the 14 dogs living inside the mansion and the 40 cats living in her garage.
Oh.
Ooh.
I'm gonna rewind that real quick. 14 dogs living inside the mansion, and 40 cats living in the garage.
Depending on how big the mansion is, 14 dogs, like, it's a lot of dogs.
It's falling apart.
Listen, I'm not excusing that. Depending on how big it is, 14 dogs, you could get away with it.
Sure.
40 cats in a garage?
Well, where else you gonna put them?
Yeah, that's
You can't just put them in suitcases. That's frowned upon.
That's see, 40 cats in a garage is where you got me. 14 dogs in a mansion. I'm like, I can.
You can check out my new album, 40 Cats in a Garage, coming out in July.
I was gonna say I could see it being reversed and not being
40 dogs in the house, 40 cats in the garage.
Yeah. Oh no, not even that reversal. I was gonna
40
say,
cats in the house.
40 cats in the house, and like the 14 dogs in the garage. I could see that kind of working. It'd still be very chaotic, but that's so many fucking cats in a garage, bro.
Looks like we have a record to beat. We gotta have 15 dogs in a 3-bedroom.
Oh, God, they fucking trip the breaker. Trip the breaker. I gotta go into the garage. Go turn the breaker. You just open it. Just the pits of hell as you open it. 40 cats start meowing. It's just and then like the dogs come in because they're trying to get the cats.
Yeah.
It just sounds like my hell. It just sounds like I would never want to be around animals ever again.
Dude, I have 2 cats. I don't want 40 cats. That's fucking insane. Like, that garage probably smelled like ammonium nightmare.
Taylor was trying to talk me into having 2 dogs at the same time, and I was like, we're gonna have 2 cats. I was like, 2 cats and a dog is a pretty good fit.
Well, now we're looking at 2 dogs.
Yeah. Well.
You know what? Maybe you guys, could meet in the middle and get yourselves a cat dog.
I got a bone saw and a dream.
Oh.
We can make it happen. But yeah, as you can imagine, the inside of this.
No.
Come on, guys. Just doing some bits. As you can imagine, the inside of this mansion was bad. It's literally a hoarder's mansion.
Yeah.
It's falling apart. It's not being maintained.
Surprise, surprise.
And Helen is, they described her as very eccentric. And we'll kind of get into eccentricness later on. But
Listen, there's a difference between eccentric and a hoarder. Like,
yeah, that seems like they're being very kind. Very kind.
being kind. That's what I'm being. So it's this relationship that will be highly significant to the rest of the story, as I was saying. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say if Helen and Martin were in a romantic relationship, but one could speculate just due to the level of companionship that seems to take place, even though there's no evidence or whatever that they did. Mm-hmm. But it's just like they kind of described Helen's like actions towards Martin as like motherly, which almost makes it a lot worse, in my opinion.
Sure.
Almost?
It's just like, instead of just being a crazy lady, and being like I'll use you and you use me, and it's like just fucking creepy like that. It's like, it just even more, all of it's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just.
I would argue that almost was the wrong term to use.
Well, okay.
Because it is worse.
If it was just him, like her being like, you're like my son.
Yeah.
And I love you because you're like my son. It's creepy as fuck, but it's not as bad as her being like them preying on each other in a weird way. Because like he's has the mental fortitude of an 11-year-old, and she's almost 60.
Yeah.
And they're living in a house with fucking 40 cats and 14 dogs. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say.
So is that a no on 15 dogs in a 3-bedroom?
It's gonna be a no.
I also am gonna say that everybody deserves some love, but that might be some of the weirdest fucking love I've ever heard. That's the type of love that I'd want to avoid me for the rest of my days.
I just feel like she would say something, instead of like being sexy about it, it'd just be really gross and crude.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, Bill, come get this gash. Come get this gash, Bill. Yeah, Bill, come fuck this gash.
I hate all of it. I hate all of it.
I can't do an Australian accent, but the thing the thing I was gonna say is, be a dingo and eat this baby. Like, oh God, no.
Focus on my fidget cube.
Oh God.
I know you guys love me.
I'm glad we're getting some laughs in before the part near the end where I literally started crying running the episode. So I want to get some laughs in.
Okay,
Dude,
yeah.
it fucking gets, I'm telling you, it gets really dark. But I just wanted to get some chuckles in.
Dude,
so,
I'm about the roller coaster of emotions.
okay.
Yeah.
So in June of 1990, an unidentified person reported Helen to the health services, and medics arrived and found both Helen and her mother in need of urgent hospital treatment, with Helen suffering from infected ulcers and Hilsa with a hip fracture. Hilsa was moved to a nursing home following the call and died several weeks later at the age of 79. And like I said, as you might imagine, the house was a mess. And I can't imagine the 14 dogs and 40 cats locked in a garage in the house made it smell very good. So a mandatory cleanup was ordered on the mansion. And Martin's own father took long service leave to assist in cleaning the interior, which I thought was kind of interesting. Martin's father, Maurice, kind of always looked after Martin. And I think he always kind of knew that, like, he had to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Just trying to be a good dad, I guess. So conditions inside the home were so bad that the local Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, aka the RSPCA, had an order to confiscate many animals living inside the house. There seems to be very little terms of the actual cleanup of the home, but what is known is following the massive undertaking, Helen invited Martin to live with her inside the mansion following it. So instead of just coming to hang out, being like, you can come hang out. Now they're living together inside the mansion that was once a hoarder home. Again, non-romantically. You know, but
Dog,
Come on.
Are you telling me that broken hip was anything other than just a situation that happened?
that was Helen's mom.
Okay.
So she's the one who had the ulcers.
Okay.
Helen had the ulcers. So after Martin moved into the mansion, Helen and Martin began spending an extravagant amount of money, including the purchase of more than 30 new cars in less than 3 years.
Jeez.
Again, like I said, she won the lottery.
Yeah.
Like, and so she's just like, start spending some money. When they weren't trying to drive 30 cars at the same time, kidding. I thought that was funny.
That was good.
Martin and Helen spent most of their time shopping various stuff, clothes, and usually having lunch at their favorite local restaurant. Around this time, Martin was reassessed for his disability pension, and a note was attached to his paperwork, which honestly should have probably raised more than a few red flags. I don't know why they didn't just have a little more of a chat following this, but that's neither here nor there. Quote, "Father protects him from any occasion which might upset him, as he continually threatens violence. Martin tells me that he would like to go around shooting people. It would be unsafe to allow Martin out of his parents' control." So, went pretty well. This meeting went pretty well.
Yeah.
Nobody was like, all right. nobody said anything.
Rocky.
No one was there like, are you fucking crazy? But all right. And they just kind of let it go. I don't know. It's bizarre. I guess because it had never happened before,
Yeah.
So maybe it wasn't really in people's mindsets. But anyway. As we transition into the 90s, in 1991, as a result of no longer being allowed to have animals inside the mansion, Martin and Helen moved together onto a 72-acre farm called Torresville that Helen had purchased in a small township of Copping, about 40 minutes north of Port Arthur. 72 acres of just, Australian land on Tasmania. Right, Tasmanian land. It is here that we begin to see Martin's carelessness for those around him, whether due to mental health or mental cognizance or psychopathy. But we really start to see the aggression towards others starting to ramp up here. Neighbors recalled that Martin always carried an air gun and often fired it at tourists as they stopped to buy apples at a stall on the highway. Not only that, but late at night, he would roam through the surrounding properties, firing the gun at dogs when they barked at him. As you might imagine, locals and copping avoided Martin like the plague, or like a gun-toting madman, quote, at all costs, despite his attempts to befriend them. He would literally just be like, how you going? How you doing? How you hanging? Like, just like, yeah, I'm hanging out a little bit. Yeah, see what's going on. Bill, good to see you.
Oh, yeah, good to see you,
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah.
Man, who's shooting dogs. It's just like, that's cool, buddy. That's real cool.
Right.
I'm gonna quit bringing Pico over here. Like, I don't trust you.
Yeah. Bill, I would never shoot your dog. Unless I had to. Like, it's just like, you'll see this again and again throughout the story.
Yeah.
Not the dog shooting part, but like this level of like, people are afraid of him.
Yeah.
Not because they were like, he's imposing, because he had like this long blonde hair, you know, he was very Australian surfer vibe kind of guy.
Yeah.
But he had an IQ of an 11-year-old, and he had a fucking air gun. Like, you'll see this again and again throughout the story of him being like, I just want friends. And you'll see it again and again. And I mean, even when he was a kid, didn't have any friends. All he wanted was friends. So he was acting out. He was doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Bro.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. I'm just going to say, considering what my job is, and the more and more you describe this, I'm paying very close attention.
Yeah, I figured you would this episode specifically would be one of those where you're like, interesting.
Yeah, because I have my own reservations about somebody, and I feel like they're going through a transition right now, and it's like, I don't want this story to become his story.
Yeah.
So I just want him to get some get right and avoid that from happening.
Hopefully.
That was a realization I had as you were describing that there.
Great. So, but, you know, carrying an air gun and shooting at unsuspecting people wasn't the only troubling behavior, as you might imagine. Martin had a fascination with grabbing the steering wheel of the car as it was in motion and pulling it over to his side.
Jeez.
Pretty cool. And
that's wildly unhinged. Like,
it is
that's
wildly this whole episode is wildly unhinged, buddy.
Kill us both.
Yeah, fucking see what's up. Like, yeah. Yeah, it's doing it once lightly is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like to like your friend like, you got me. That was funny. Enough that it becomes a problem, not funny anymore.
Yeah, I'd be like, your ass is sitting in the back or not in my car. That's what's happening.
So, but what would turn into a fun game for Martin would soon turn into tragedy. As you might imagine, on October 20th, 1992, Helen Harvey, age 59, was killed along with her two dogs when her car veered into the wrong side of the road and hit an oncoming vehicle head on. Martin was inside the vehicle at the time and sustained serious injuries to his neck and back, eventually returning to his family's home to recover from the following accident. Martin was obviously investigated by the police for the role he had played in the accident, considering that his wheel lunging tick had already caused Helen to crash 3 separate times before this.
Oh my God.
He did it so much that Helen would only drive at 37 miles an hour anywhere they went, and even told the neighbor, quote, "One of these days, that little bastard is going to kill me."
Why don't you kick him out of your house?
Because she's eccentric. And I think she was, honestly, probably super alone.
Okay.
Martin's alone. She's alone. Mm-hmm. And they're like, I'm having fun spending all this cool money.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So following the funeral of Helen, the matter of her will arose. Martin would be named the sole beneficiary of Helen's will and came in possession of assets totaling more than 550,000 Australian dollars, the equivalent to $1,277,212.02 Australian dollars in 2025, turning Martin into a literal millionaire overnight.
Huh.
You know when you were a kid and you were like, if I had $1 million, I would do this? Imagine you're 11 years old, in your brain still, and someone hands you $1.2 million fucking dollars. That's what happens.
That's crazy.
And you're an adult. So you could like buy booze, you can buy whatever you want, but you have the mind of an 11-year-old. You go, here's $1.2 million. All right, bye. We're out of here. Like, yeah, isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
Yeah, I'm thinking now. When I was 11, it was 2003. So I would have probably
signed up to fight GWAT.
Oh yes. Yeah, I would have been George Bush's A1 guy. No, which is actually kind of funny. I wanted Bush to win when the 2000 election happened, not because I knew about his policies. I was like fucking 8. Like, no.
You're like, honestly, Bush is pretty good.
No, that'd be crazy coming from me. No, I was like, no, I just liked his name more than Gore.
Yeah.
I liked his name more than Gore, but back then, I probably would have bought a fuck ton of Game Boy games, probably a whole bunch of Pokemon cards, and probably some skateboards because I was really big into skateboarding. That's probably what I would have done.
I probably just would have bought all of Monster Jam. I probably would have just owned like a large stake in Monster Jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Taylor, at 11 years old, what are you buying with $1.2 million?
Horse.
Horse.
Singular.
A
horse.
prize horse or horse as
Horse.
in...
So
Okay.
funny. Just horse.
Don't know where I'm putting it. Not my problem. I got $1.2 million. I'll figure it out. Horse.
You'll build it around the horse.
Taylor, what's that sound coming in the bathroom? Horse. All right.
Well, you guys 11. Horse.
As Martin had, quote, the vaguest notions of financial matters, that's putting it lightly, his mother subsequently applied for and was granted a guardianship order, placing his assets under the management of public trustees. Excuse me. The order was based on the obvious evidence of Martin's diminished intellectual capacity. Makes sense.
Fair enough.
Since Helen was dead, Martin's father, Maurice Bryant, age 60, looked after the farm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Maurice had been prescribed antidepressants and had discreetly transferred his joint bank account and utilities to his wife's name. Why that's important will be known here very shortly.
Okay.
2 months later, on August 14th, 1993, a visitor looking for Maurice at the Copping property found a note saying, quote, call the police, pinned to the door, and found several $1,000s in his car. Police would soon arrive and search the property with no success. Divers were then called in to search the 4 dams that were on the property.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like, they're not like what we're used to, like Bonneville. It's not Bonneville. It's not like a giant dam, but they're sizable.
Sure.
Then on August,
Just got 4 Bonneville dams.
Okay.
I'm building 4 Bonneville dams on my property. I'm building them.
I have to say I did default to thinking of dams of scale. I'll just say that. I was thinking of dams of scale.
Check out my new album, Dams of Scale, coming out this summer.
I thought about that, but like at the same time though, like I wasn't thinking about like some like beaver dam type business.
Well, at least you weren't thinking of beaver dams.
Thinking some dental dam type business, am I right, guys?
Hey. Oh my god. Oh, dude.
Yeah, I mean it's not like gigantic dams.
Yeah.
I mean these dams are, like I said, it's sizable. It's a sizable dam.
It's I was gonna say, like, I'm getting hung up on dams. I laughed at penal colony.
You get hung up on dams. What are you doing? What are you doing outside the podcast?
That's what was it? Autoerotic asphyxiation. I just hang up on dams and I just go at it. No.
Oh, you're stopping so much fucking water.
Oh my God. I'm so wet right now. No,
but not down here. There's significantly less wetness, which makes me even more moist.
I'm thinking too, it's a good thing we're not talking space here, because then I'd probably be like, oh, Uranus. Hilarious.
Yeah, it's because we're not talking about that. We're talking about dams, Bill.
We're talking about dams. Come on. Get with the damn program.
That's Bill's tism right there.
Space?
Dams.
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 Damn it, you got me.
It's like dams. Horse. You like airplanes? So, on August 16th, 2 days after the request for law enforcement, Maurice Bryant's body was found. He was found in the dam closest to the farmhouse with a diving bell wrapped around his neck. Police described the death as unnatural, which is pretty fucking obvious, and it was ruled a suicide. Martin would again be awarded a large sum of money following his father's death from his father's superannuation fund, totaling 250,000 Australian dollars, which is the equivalent to 571,000 Australian dollars today. So, roughly, we're talking he essentially has $1.8 million.
Uh-huh.
Like in the span of like a month. Yes.
I'm not so sure it was a suicide.
Yeah.
We'll get into that roughly later. So Martin later sold the Copping farm for $143,000. Moved back to the former Helen Harvey mansion. While he was living in Copping, however, he wore white overalls habitually. But now that he has gotten some money, Martin decided it was time to time to dress more like his financial status. You know what I'm saying? Trying to dress up a little bit, be a little more like, kind of fancy looking.
Yeah.
At least in his mind. Now that Martin was alone, he often wore, and I wish this wasn't true because it's so fucking funny to me, he would wear a gray linen suit, an ascot, lizard skin shoes, and a Panama hat, all the while carrying a briefcase throughout the day, telling anyone who would listen that he was a very wealthy businessman.
Oh.
Again, Fred, that sounds very similar to somebody I know. That is wild.
You might have to deal with Martin Bryant.
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
It's just him dressing up in this extravagant outfit, just standing on the corner and Copping and be like, business. Oh, ma'am, good to see you. Ma'am, listen, there's a thing or two I know, it's business. What do you do for work?
Business.
Not me, wealthy business. You, sir, what do you do?
Horse.
I too business.
I too business.
Yeah. I also 72 acres and he sold it for like 140 something.
Oh, he's fucking way below market value, probably because of the debts on it.
Probably, but also 72 acres for 140 whatever thousand is insane.
It was in the 90s.
That's still insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
yeah. I would definitely expect there to be like this is like an eco fund site. like this is there's serious problems
site?
Here.
Yeah, super. I don't know how much homes are in Tasmania.
Okay,
can you maybe look that up while I'm doing this?
Yeah, I got you.
So Martin also often wore a flashy electric blue business suit with flared trousers and a ruffled shirt to the restaurant he would frequent. Pretty cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
The restaurant owner recalled, quote, "It was horrible. Everyone was laughing at him, even the customers. I really felt suddenly quite sorry for him. I realized this guy really didn't have any friends. I mean, who wouldn't want to be friends with a deranged psychopathic millionaire? Am I right? I could start naming a few if you guys want me to. I won't, but you can probably figure it out. With Helen and his father being gone, Martin became pretty lonely. And this part is something that I told Taylor earlier because I was like, Taylor, you think you talk a lot, right?
I mean, I do.
You do talk a lot.
I literally, I yapped with a grooming client for like half an hour today.
Sure, but not as much as Martin Bryant. So Martin was pretty lonely. Because of that, Martin decided that he needed to try to branch out and see the world. Maybe meet some new people. Right, guys?
Yeah.
And from 1993 to 1995, he traveled overseas 14 times.
Ooh.
And a summary of his domestic airline travel just in Australia, right, was so extensive, it would fill up at least 3 pages. He flew a lot.
Wow.
A lot of flying. He had all his money,
Yeah.
but he was flying to America. He was flying all over the place. Just flying.
If he was flying in America, he would have ran out of that money in 2 months.
Probably. Well, it's the 90s, so maybe not.
Okay, yeah, you're probably right.
It's pre 9/11.
Oh,
So
the world pre 9/11.
smoke on there. You can fucking have a gun. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can ash out your cigarette on a baby.
It's
Dave?
true. So,
I'm not gonna make the joke.
anyways,
Push the sauce button.
so like some of these houses are a bit insane, but for a house that has a square footage lot a little over ours, which ours is a little over 10, this is a little over 11, $1.25 million.
Oh my god. Okay.
So I don't even think it was that low back in the 90s
Yeah.
if they're going for over $1 million.
I don't know. It's Tasmania, 90s. I don't know.
Yeah.
But no matter how much Martin traveled, he still felt alone, as he did back home in Tasmania. So many of you may be wondering, why would Martin take so many flights if he hated the places he traveled to? Martin would recall that while he hated the destinations he visited, his favorite part of the journeys were the long flights, but not due to the incredible views, but due to the fact that he could endlessly speak to his fellow passengers sitting adjacent to him who had no choice but to be polite. He took great joy in recalling and describing some of the conversations he had with fellow passengers after his arrest.
Oh.
That sounds like my fucking nightmare. You're on a 14, 18-hour flight. You're like, oh god, we're gonna fly from Tasmania to Sydney. Now we're going to Sydney, and we're gonna go to fucking Los Angeles. And I'm just like, meanwhile, this guy's like, yeah, fucking look at my electric blue suit. My electric blue suit's so cool. You know that one time I used, and just it's that for 14 hours. Nonstop. And you know he didn't sleep. You know that he would you would pretend to be asleep. You're like, oh, I'm going to bed, and be like, yeah. So anyway, yeah. And you'd reach over and you'd pull your headphone out, and be like, yeah. So anyway, so you just continue to talk.
Ah, yes.
You know he would do it because
Yes.
he has no social cues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know he would just do that because he's like, I'm talking to you, so you must be awake. He 3 pages of just domestic travel. So he's probably just taking day trips all day, just popping over, he's like, going to Sydney, I'm going to Melbourne, I'm going to this, and just doing all this, all these flights, just fucking ruining people's flights.
Jesus.
3+ pages of ruined flights. Isn't that not one of the most insane things you've ever heard?
Yes.
Out of all the shooters and the murderers we've covered on this show, some of the most deranged behavior I've ever heard that doesn't involve him fucking peeling the flesh off of a victim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just I would lose my mind.
That's a lot of yapping.
I would literally lose my mind. I would just go to the flight attendant and be like, if you don't knock me fucking unconscious with a fire extinguisher, I'm for real gonna ground this aircraft.
I'm gonna hold that fucking door and jump.
Yeah.
Please.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah. So as Martin drifted further into depression and ultimately became suicidal after deciding, quote, he had, quote, had enough, stating, quote, I just felt more like more people were against me. When I tried to be friendly towards them, they would just walk away. Probably because you're a deranged fucking psycho, Martin. Have you considered that one? Martin, like, cause like, what is a dude who tortures animals and is also a millionaire have to talk to someone about on a 10+ hour long flight?
I don't know.
Skinny to kittens recently? Like, you can't just, you can't, there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. I like your electric blue suit. And he's like, thanks. It reminds me of all the animals I murdered. It's like, great. 9.5 hours to go. So Martin, who was usually a social drinker, began to spiral into alcoholism. His average daily consumption was estimated at a half a bottle of Sambuca and a bottle of Bailey's Irish Cream, supplemented with that of port wine and other sweet alcoholic drinks, you know, just to kind of round out the flavor profile a little bit.
Oh.
I've never heard of port wine before until this episode I was writing it.
I've heard of it, never had it.
Never had it.
Yeah, same.
It's like a semi-sweet wine. You know, I don't know. Never heard of it. But he was drinking a lot. Drinking heavy. While he would later be sober on the day of the massacre, it's around this time that Martin's thoughts would begin to drift further into madness, formulating the plan of the massacre to come. In the weeks leading up to the massacre, Martin went out and bought several firearms, including a .223 Colt AR-15 semi-automatic rifle and a .308 FAL rifle, the Colt being his primary weapon at the start of the killings. While gun laws in Australia are more strict following the massacre, they weren't exactly a kind of a free-for-all back then. But how was Martin able to buy these firearms and ammunition while having the equivalent IQ of an 11-year-old, you might ask? The answer is simple. He had almost millions of dollars, at least $1 million+.
Yeah.
You can buy whatever you want when you have that much money.
It's true.
Leading up to the massacre, Martin walked into the gun store of Mr. Terry Hill, a licensed firearm dealer. Martin stated that Terry never once asked him to produce his firearms license, which he obviously didn't have. And he told Mr. Hill that, quote, I have cash on me. And Hill said, well, that's all right. And they made a sale. He bought the .223 AR-15, Colt AR-15 that day. He then later bought the .308 FAL from a private sale. So he bought it from somebody. Mm-hmm. And then bought a fuck ton of ammunition, like an absurd amount of ammunition. Obviously, Terry didn't really fill out proper paperwork regarding this, and also sold a AR-15 to a guy who wasn't supposed to have it. And that resulted in literally the worst mass shooting in Australian history. So following the massacre, Terry's Hill store was raided and closed down for obvious reasons. So can't be doing that. There has been conflicting and confusing accounts of what led Martin Bryant to take the lives of 35 people, which we'll get to shortly. But many believe it was all due to Martin's desperate desire for attention. As he told a next door neighbor, quote, I'll do something that will make everyone remember me. Which is pretty fucking scary.
Yeah.
This hostile mindset, something that has been building and billowing, a wick to the powder keg, has finally reached its explosive end. This is a part in the podcast where at an hour, roughly, it's only going to get worse from here. We've had our fun. We've had our bits.
Yeah.
We've done some fun jokes. This is one of the worst things I've ever had to read in my entire life. This to me equates to that of Columbine and Jonestown. Just the level of like awfulness that I had to learn about.
Yeah.
I'm being super for real. It's only going to get worse. So if you want to have more fun, go listen to the Chernobyl episode. That's not exactly very fun, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Or go listen to Taylor's fun UFO episodes or Alcatraz. Alcatraz is great.
Yeah.
It's going to get dark. So if you're here, strap in. After weeks of planning, we arrived to Sunday, April 28th, 1996, my birthday. Over the next 24 hours, complete and total mayhem will grip the island that is Tasmania, changing Australia and the world forever. Martin loaded up his yellow Volvo 244, a large duffel bag concealing his arsenal weapons inside. But the massacre doesn't begin at the historic site, but rather just off of it. Martin drives his Volvo to the bed and breakfast of a place known as Seascape, a lovely place owned by David and Nolene Martin. The Martins, who had beaten out Maurice Bryant, which was Martin's father. That's going to get very confusing, I know. Even after Maurice had made great efforts to secure financial support to purchase it. So the Martins had bought this pretty sizable house that Maurice wanted to get and beat him out, and they opened up this nice bed and breakfast. Maurice had complained to Martin on numerous occasions of the damage done to their family because of this purchase. And I think that kind of planted a seed inside Martin's brain that the Martins were going to be Martin's first target. Martin apparently believed the Martins had bought the property out of spite towards his family and blamed them for the depression that would later take his father's life, somebody that he loved deeply. So, on the morning of April 28th, 1996, around 11:45 a.m., Martin arrived at Seascape and parks his yellow Volvo. Grabbing his duffel bag as he makes his way through the front door, this time of day and just being in the area, I'm sure the Martins recognized Martin Bryant, letting him inside the bed and breakfast with a smile and hello. It is only speculated what actually happens inside, but we can imagine that an argument breaks out. Something accusatory of Martin saying to this couple they are at fault for his father's death. Moments later, David and Nolene would be executed at the hands of Martin Bryant, afterwards stealing their guns to begin his rampage. Once he was satisfied, Martin loaded back up into his Volvo and drove to his second target, his primary target, the Port Arthur historic site. One thing that makes this tragedy so much worse was the fact that Port Arthur was experiencing a massive influx of visitors on the morning of April 28th. Ian Kingston, former staff member of Port Arthur Historic Site, along with 30 additional staff members, were managing the crowds coming in to the picturesque site. There was basically a lot of people who were visiting out of town, like from Sydney, across the world. Yeah. People visit here all the time. And people who have businesses in the area, and they go, we're kind of doing it like a company get-together. We're going to go to the Port Arthur site and look at, because it's really quite cool. It's full of like, it's an old prison. The whole area was a massive, it was a penal colony. Joe built after there, but it was basically where they sent prisoners, where the British sent prisoners. Yeah. And so it was this massive, like I'm talking massive military installation that has now like been partially restored, and there's some sections. So there's like kind of cool castles and jail cells. It's a cool spot. Yeah. So super popular among tourists and those in the area to go visit. And it's also on the water's edge. It's beautiful. It's nice. There's a cafe. There's a gift shop. It's a nice area. So Ian is out there and he's kind of directing cars, because at the time there was no parking lot. Like there was no visitor center like there is today. Right. So he's kind of having people like, he's like, yeah, go park under that tree. You can go park a little bit further down there. Like helping manage these crowds. And it would be Ian that would be the first to go face to face with a killer and survive. Around lunchtime, as Ian called it, he was helping direct those who were coming into the site when a yellow Volvo 244 drove into the lot. Ian stated that he didn't recognize Martin at first, since he had grown up, but a familiar face nonetheless, because he had grown up in the area, right? Yeah. After a minute or two, Ian and Martin discussing where he should park. Martin stated he wanted to get on the 1:30 ferry, but didn't have a ticket. He tried and failed to board, and eventually just double parked his car and was, quote, seen mucking around in the boot, which is such an Australian term. I love it.
Yeah.
Just fucking around back there doing whatever, with his duffel bag before he eventually made his way towards the cafe. The Broad Arrow Cafe was situated just above the car park and the water's edge, a place where multiple families and tourists were enjoying a scenic and peaceful Sunday lunch. Martin ordered a meal and sat outside on the deck, overlooking the former prison ruins, in an almost ironic twist of fate. Overlooking prison ruins. After 10 or 15 minutes, Martin got back up, grabbed his bag, walked back into the cafe. Someone even said that he was even carrying his old food tray with him, as if to dispose of the trash that was on it. That's one fact that was odd to me.
Yeah.
Was like, he has this in this mindset, even though what he's about to do is horrific. As Martin enters the cafe, he produces his .223 Colt AR-15 from his bag and immediately begins to open fire on those close to him, fatally shooting Mo Yi and Su Lang Chung, tourists from Malaysia, at basically point-blank range. Martin turned, firing at Mick Sargent, grazing his scalp and knocking him to the floor. Then shooting Mick's girlfriend, 21-year-old Kate Scott, hitting her in the back of the head with a fatal shot. A 28-year-old New Zealand winemaker, Jason Winter, had been helping the busy cafe staff at the time of the attack. As Martin turned to fire at Winter's wife, Joanne, and their 15-month-old son, Mitchell, Winter threw a serving tray at Martin in an attempt to distract him. Joanne, Winter's father, pushed his daughter and grandson to the floor and under a table for cover. Martin's turns again. Anthony Nightingale, age 44, stood up. Sorry. Get a breath for a second. After hearing the sounds of the first shots, yelling, "No, not here," as Martin executed him with shots through his neck and spine. Martin began to systematically execute those inside the cafe, firing around and killing Kevin Sharp, age 68, then Walter Bennett, 66. The round passed through his body and struck Raymond Sharp, 67, who was Kevin's brother, killing him as well. These shots were described as being, quote, at close range. This quite literally feet, if not inches away. He is right on top of these people. That cafe was not that big. It's not big at all. Gerard Broom and Gay Fiddler, which I checked the name of that, which is and her husband, John Fiddler, were all struck by bullet fragments but did survive, which is good. Martin, this super dark. Martin then turns towards Tony and Sarah Kistan and Andrew Mills. Tony Kistan and Andrew Mills had both stood up when the shooting began and were both fatally shot in the back of the head. Kistan while pushing his wife towards the door, was also shot. Thelma Walker and Pamela Law were injured by fragments from these shots before being dragged to the ground by their friend, Peter Crosswell, as the three sheltered underneath a table. Also injured by fragments of these shots was Patricia Baker. Martin moved just a few meters and began shooting at the table where Graham Collier, Carolyn Lawton, and her daughter Sarah were seated. Collier was shot in the jaw. Sarah ran towards her mother, who had been moving through the tables. Carolyn threw herself on top of her daughter, and Martin then just kind of stands over the top of her and fires into her back. Her eardrum was ruptured by the muzzle blast of the gun going off beside her ear. Despite Carolyn's efforts, Sarah had been fatally shot in the head. Martin pivoted around and fatally shot Mervyn Howard. The bullet passed through him, through the Windows Cafe, and hit a table out on the outside balcony where Bryant had just been sitting mere seconds before. Seconds. And I'll explain to you what I mean by that, by seconds. in a moment. Bryant then fatally shot Mervyn Howard's wife, Mary Howard, in the neck and head. Martin was then near the exit, preventing any of those inside from escaping. Martin moved across the cafe towards the gift shop area. As Bryant moved, Robert Elliott stood up, and he was fatally shot in the arm and head. Oh, sorry, no, he was shot in the arm and head, but survived his injuries. That's a lot of shooting.
Yeah.
And it's fucking horrific. He shot kids, and he shot women and elderly and men, who's anybody. And like I said, this cafe is not very big.
Yeah.
It is we've talked about fatal funnel before, Bill. Like this, a doorway is a fatal funnel. Mm. This is, I don't even know what to even call it. It is just, everybody's trapped. They have literally nowhere to go.
Yeah.
He is at the exit. And so he is just indiscriminately killing as many people as he wants with nobody stopping him. And I just told you of him shooting an insane amount of people, right?
Yeah.
That was only 15 seconds. That's it. That was 15 seconds of shooting. This thing lasts 24 hours. We're just getting started. During the shooting, Bryant had fired 17 shots, killing 12 and wounding 10 or more. Under half the number that would eventually be killed by the end of his rampage. That was 15 seconds.
That's insane.
Yeah. And so I think that really can give you the idea of how small this place is. He's just going dunk, 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 dunk. Because everybody's right there. They have nowhere to go.
I'm literally thinking of the dimensions of this room. It's like that.
It's about that big.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit bigger, but it's not that big. As Martin moves towards the gift shop area, many use this time to hide under tables and behind shop displays. As he enters, he fatally shoots the two local women who had worked at the gift shop, 17-year-old Nicole Burgess in the head and 26-year-old Elizabeth Howard in the arm and chest. Coralie Lever and Vera Jerry, hid behind a burlap screen while others, with others. Lever's husband, Dennis, was fatally shot in the head. Pauline Masters, Vera J's husband, Ron, and Peter and Carolyn Nash had attempted to escape through a locked door but could not open it. Peter Nash laid down on top of his wife to hide her from the gunman. Gwen Neander, trying to make it to the door, was shot in the head and killed instantly. Martin saw movement in the cafe and moved near the front door. He shot at the table and hit Peter Croswell, who was hiding under it, in the buttock. Jason Winter, the father who had attempted to, save his children and his wife, was hiding in the gift shop. Thought Bryant had left the building and made a comment about it to people near him before moving out to the open. Sorry. Martin saw him, with Winter examining, no, just prior to being shot. The bullet hitting his hand, neck, and chest. Winter was then fatally shot in the head, executed in front of his family. Fragments from those shots struck American tourist Dennis Olson, who had been hiding with his wife Mary and Winter. Dennis Olson suffered injuries to his hand, scalp, eye, and chest, but it did ultimately survive. It is not ultimately clear what happened next, although at some point Martin reloaded his weapon and walks back to the cafe and returned to the gift shop, where he fatally shot Jerry and Peter Nash and Pauline Masters. He did not see Carolyn Nash, who was hiding under her husband. Martin aimed his gun and identified a tourist, but the rifle's magazine was empty. Just an empty click. Martin then just calmly moves towards the gift shop counter, where he reloads his rifle, leaving the empty magazine on the counter, leaves the building.
That's insane.
Which is fucking scary.
Yeah.
You're expecting to die. You're looking in the face of a gunman. And it just clicks. And then he just looks at you, doesn't say anything, takes a magazine out, puts it on the counter, and leaves. In the cafe and the gift shop combined, he fired 29 shots, killing 20 people and wounding 12. This is in a very small building.
Yeah.
Bryant makes his way outside towards the coach parking lot situated in front of the cafe building. Of the coach drivers, Royce Thompson was shot in the back as he was moving along with the passenger's side of the coach. He fell to the ground, was able to crawl under the bus, but later died of his wounds. Bridget Cook was trying to guide people down the beaten between the buses and along the jetty area to cover. Martin moved to the front of this bus and walked across to the next coach. People had quickly moved from this coach towards the back end and attempt to seek cover. As Bryant walked around it, he saw people trying to hide and shot at them. Cook was shot to the right thigh, causing the bone to fragment and the bullet lodging in there. Martin then quickly moved around another coach and fired at another group of people. Winfred Applin, running to get, I'm getting like flustered, running to get cover behind another coach, was fatally shot in the side. Another bullet grazed Yvonne Lockley's cheek, but she was able to enter one of the coaches and hide and survive. Some people then started moving away from the car park towards the jetty. However, someone shouted that Martin was heading that way, so they doubled back around the coaches where Bridget Cook had just been shot. Martin then moved where Janet and Neville Quinn, who owned a wildlife park on the east coast of Tasmania, were beginning to move away from the buses. Martin shot Janet in the back, where she fell, unable to move, near Royce Thompson, the man who was underneath the car. Martin then continued along the car park as people tried to escape along the shore. Doug Hutchinson was attempting to get into a vehicle when he was shot in the arm. Martin then went to his vehicle, which was just past all these cars in the lot, and exchanged his weapon for his .308. His AR-15 is now empty. So now it's time to start using .308s. Martin moved back to the buses where Janet Quinn lay injured from an earlier shot. He then goes up to her and executes her. Just fucking systematic. Just cold as can be. This reminds me a lot of, I mean, obviously any shooting is going to remind me of Columbine and the nature of depravity that goes along with it. But like, there's something that is so, we look at Columbine, right? Mm-hmm. The Dylan Klebold, Eric Harris, they were fucking around the entire time. They're making jokes, they're doing thing, but it's the fact that Martin Bryant isn't saying anything. There's no like screaming, there's no yelling. It's just this serene calm as he just executes people. Never killed anyone ever until today, and now he's at 20 plus. Right?
Yeah.
So Martin then went out to one of the vehicles and fatally shot Elva Gaylord fatally shot Elva Gaylord in the arm and chest. In an adjacent vehicle, Gordon Francis saw what happened and moved down the aisle to try and shut the door of the coach that he was on, the bus he was on. He was seen by Bryant and shot from the opposite coach. He survived, but needed 4 major operations due to the level of his injuries. Neville Quinn, husband of Janet, had escaped to the jetty area, but returned to look for his wife. He had been forced to leave her earlier after Martin fired a shot. Bryant exited the coach, spotted Quinn, and chased him around the coaches. Martin fired at him at least twice before Quinn ran to a coach. Bryant entered the coach, pointing the gun at Quinn's face, saying, "No one gets away from me." Quinn ducked when he realized Bryant was about to pull the trigger. The bullet missed his head but hit his neck, momentarily paralyzing him. And Bryant subsequently got off the coach. It's probably the only thing that saved his life. I mean, it is the only thing that saved his life. Most likely realizing the police were en route, Martin went to make his escape. He goes out to his car and gets in it, starts driving towards the exit from the historic site. Ahead of him were Nanette McAck and her children, Madeline, age 3, and Alana, age 6. Nanette was carrying Madeline, and Alana was running slightly ahead. But at this point, they had run approximately 600 yards from the car park and from the shooting. Martin opens his door and slows down. Nanette moves towards the car, thinking that someone is about to help her. But in a cruel and horrific action, Martin steps out of the car and tells Annette to get on her knees. So she does. And Bryant executes her, and then executes her 2 children. Martin then drove up to the toll booth at the exit of the historic site, where there were several vehicles and a blocked 1980 gold BMW 7 Series owned by Mary Rose Nixon. Inside were Nixon, driver Russell James Pullard, and passengers Haleen and Robert Graham Salzman. An argument broke out with Robert Salzman, and Martin took out his rifle and just fucking kills him. You're arguing with a crazed gunman who just shot 30 people. Pullard emerged from the BMW, moved towards Martin before being fatally shot in the chest. Martin then moved to the BMW and fatally shot Nixon and Helene Salzman before removing them from the car. Martin transferred some ammunition, handcuffs, and an AR-15 and a fuel canister to the BMW, but the massacre must continue. Martin drives up to the service station in front of Port Arthur General Store and cut off a white Toyota Corolla that was attempting to exit the highway. Glenn Piers was driving with his girlfriend Zoe Hall in the passenger seat. Bryant quickly exited the car with his rifle in hand and tried to pull Hall from the car. Piers got out of the car and approached Bryant. Bryant pointed the gun at Piers and pushed him backwards, eventually directing him into the now open trunk of the BMW, locking him inside. Martin then moves back to the passenger seat of the Corolla, where Paul's girlfriend, sorry, a little bit flustered. He moves back to the vehicle where Zoe Hall was sitting in the passenger seat and attempted, as Zoe attempted to climb over the driver's seat to escape, and he just raises his rifle, fires 3 shots, and kills her on the driver's seat. Martin then gets back in the BMW and returns to Seascape. As he does, he fires a shot at a red Ford Falcon coming the other way, smashing its front windshield. And upon arriving, he gets out of the car and arriving at Seascape, he gets out of his car, and a Holden Frontera 4-wheel drive vehicle then approaches Seascape along the road. Those in the vehicle saw Martin get out with his gun and believed him to be rabbit hunting and slowed down as they passed him because it was common for the area. Martin just opened fires into the car. The first bullet hits the hood and broke off the throttle cable. He fired at least twice more into the car as it passed, breaking the windows. One bullet hit the driver, Linda White, in the arm. Another vehicle then drove down the road carrying 4 people. It was not until they were almost adjacent to Martin that they realized that he was carrying a gun. Martin shot at the car, smashing the windshield. Douglas Horner was wounded by pieces of the windscreen. The car proceeded ahead, where White and Wanders tried to get in, the victims of the car from earlier. But Horner didn't realize the situation and just fucking kept driving. Got to save your own bacon, I guess. I mean, didn't know. But he eventually realized that they're not involved, and this dude doubles back and picks him up. Both parties continued down to the local establishment called the Fox and Hound Inn, where they notified police. Yet, another car drove past Bryant, and he shoots at it, hitting the passenger Susan Williams in the hand. The driver Simon Williams was struck by fragments. Sometime after he had stopped, Martin removed Pierce from the trunk and handcuffed him to a stair rail within Seascape. It's inside the Seascape guest house, the site of the first murders. And at some point, he lights the BMW on fire. An almost marker in a way to be like, I'm here, come and get me.
Jesus.
By the time Martin Bryant had made it back to Seascape, a large force of first responders were already on site at the multiple crime scenes. 200 plus cops, an untold amount of first responders are here. Helicopters are coming in from Australia. Everybody's here. Everybody. The mass casualty event overloaded local resources as police tracked Martin down to the bed and breakfast known as Seascape. Negotiators were able to make contact with Bryant via telephone inside Seascape. As you might imagine, he was a bit manic because, he's fucking crazy and just shot 35 people. Or 34 people, I might say. Asking the team why they weren't doing anything about the burning BMW just outside. Something that seemed like a clear and obvious ambush to law enforcement. He wanted the cops to go out there or the fire department to get out there and put the fire out so bad. He wanted it so bad. He wanted to keep shooting them. On top of there being a hostage inside and a fire being on the outside, 2 officers were pinned down directly across the street from the house. So, unaware of the scale of the attack, the officers immediately were fired upon by Martin, trapping them in the ditch upon their response. Because the people had got to the Hound and Fox Inn, called 911, said, this dude was shooting at us. They respond. Immediately get open fire by 308s. I mean, they're just taking crazy amounts of gunfire, like insane amount of gunfire. And they dig in. So negotiators are trying to get them out and trying to deal with the fact that he has a hostage and there might be 3 hostages inside because they don't know the couple, the Martins, are dead already. So I think there's 3 hostages in there. On top of that, there's a mass casualty incidents happening just a few miles up the road. It's anarchy. Complete and total anarchy. Negotiators attempted desperately to figure out Martin Bryant's motive and mindset during the phone calls. But as the lead negotiator put it, he felt like they were just kind of going through the motions. And it was clear that Martin didn't really have a plan. No shit.
Yeah.
As a consequence of that, negotiations began to break down. Those who spoke with Martin during the hostage situation stated that he was in this, quote, teenage-like rambling mindset, stating that he was making food for the hostages, or that he had just been out surfing, or he wasn't even at Port Arthur, or like he was actually somewhere else. He doesn't even actually exist. It was like that. I mean, it's this teenage-like manic rambling. And none of it's true, obviously.
Yeah.
Martin was finally getting the attention that he so desperately craved. Something that he wanted since he was a little boy. At the cost of 34 people. Not 35 yet. 34. Around 9:30 p.m., things seemed to go from bad to worse for negotiators, as the only phone inside the residence, a battery-operated phone, dies. With no backup corded landline inside, Seascape goes silent. And as daylight broke the following morning, Martin had been held up inside the guest house for the last 18 hours. What happened next would stun officers even more as Bryant made his final move. Smoke began to billow out from Seascape as Martin doused the property in gasoline in a final act of violence. As the flames grew and the smoke filled the home, Martin simply couldn't handle it anymore, exiting the residence unarmed and surrendered to police. It was over. As law enforcement put Bryant in cuffs, additional units attempted to breach the guest house to aid any hostages still left inside. And it was discovered that Glenn Pierce had been shot during or before the standoff and had died before the fire, marking the 35th victim. After the fire was knocked down, the remains of the Martins were also found. Psychiatrists believed that the initial murders of the Martins were due to the suicide of Martin Bryant's father. But why target the innocent people of Port Arthur? Ian Sale, a criminal psychiatrist, believed it was because Martin thought there would be a Hollywood ending. And I don't mean explosions and like crazy action movie stuff. He almost believed that a good guy with a gun would be there and to strike him down, ending his rampage. But that good guy never came, so he just kept pulling the trigger.
That's insane.
Take a breather for a second. That's a lot to process.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to process.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I can tell you, I can say that definitely put me in a very different state of mind than what I'm used to dealing with, because it's like, yeah, sometimes I get depressed, but I don't think I've ever felt like the level of like disturbed I was as I was reading that, or as I was hearing that.
Yeah.
And I don't make this comparison lightly, but to know what I had seen in both Mandalay Bay, and then
Stephen
another one, which is what happened in Buffalo in 2022. Both of those, compared with the level of accuracy and just lack of really any sort of feeling, it kind of, and I say this, it kind of reminded me a little bit of the No Russian mission in Call of Duty, like that level of like senselessness, just laying people out and like taking the life away from them.
The part that, I mean, obviously it's incredibly disturbing that he was killing literal children.
Yes.
And killing anyone for that matter, but and executing everyone in such depravity. But it's the thing that really disturbs me a lot was the fact that, like I said, we talked about Dylan Klebold, Eric Harris, right? Mm-hmm. They were killing people because they were bullies. They're like, what's the most bully thing we can do? We can fucking just kill everybody, They're doing that. Or even looking at like the Miami nightclub shooting. That was like a religious based shooting, and a shooting that we're actually going to talk about later on, shortly towards the end. Another religious ideology based shooting. Those we can almost wrap our heads around, because they're like, you're just so full of hate because of these people or whatever that you have to go kill them, that you want to go kill them. But it's the fact that like he was so emotionless. Like he didn't even fucking care about the people. He could have just lived in like that house in Tasmania by himself until he fucking died. He's still alive to this day. I'll give you that spoiler. He's still alive. He's like 59. He could just be in his house in Tasmania, sipping on a Foster's. I assume that's what they drink there. I don't know. And just looking over the ocean. And that would have been it. Would have been like, he was been an oddball when he was younger, but now he's not, Yeah. Now he's kind of a, what's the term I'm looking for? Living off by himself.
Oh, a hermit.
It's like now he's a hermit. And we were in like, never would heard of this guy.
Yeah.
But I just think he just never, there's something that is just so upset. I mean, I don't know how to describe it other than it's just odd. There's no motive. There's no motive.
Yeah.
I think even beyond just that, there's the fact that several things had changed his life and set in motion something that we can objectively say, like how you said, how there were people who were leaving warning signs, but there's nothing you can do to prepare for what he did.
It's never happened.
Yeah, it's never happened, and even still, one of the things that I think about is it is like the epitome of an unknown that is just gonna happen, and you will have nothing you can do, nothing you can prepare for, and it happened, and it shouldn't have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I needed that break for a second.
Sure.
Because it's super dark, obviously. So in the days following the massacre, the Prime Minister of Australia, John Howard, led the development of strict gun control laws within Australia and formulated the National Firearms Agreement, restricting the private ownership of semi-automatic rifles, semi-automatic shotguns, and pump-action shotguns, as well as introducing uniform firearms licensing. It was implemented by bipartisan support by the Commonwealth, states, and territories. The massacre happened just 6 weeks after the Dunblane Massacre in Scotland, which claimed 18 lives, with UK Prime Minister John Major reaching out to his counterpart over the shared tragedies. The United Kingdom passed its own changes to gun laws the next year after a change of government. Under the federal government coordination, all states and territories of Australia restricted the legal ownership and use of self-loading rifles, self-loading shotguns, and tightened controls on their legal use by recreational shooters. The government initiated a mandatory buyback scheme with the owners paid accordingly to the table of valuations. Some 643,000 firearms were handed in at the cost of $350 million, which was funded by a temporary increase in the Medicare levy, which raised $500 million. Some state governments, notably Tasmania itself and Queensland, were generally opposed to new gun laws. It's kind of more rural, right?
Yeah.
Concern was raised within the coalition government that fringe groups such as the Aussie Freedom Scouts, the Australian League of Rights, and citizen-initiated referendum party were exploiting voter anger to gain support after discovering that the Christian Coalition and National Rifle Association of America, yes, the NRA is involved in this in some fucking way, because of course it is.
Of course they are.
Were supporting the gun lobby, and the government and the media cited their support along with the more outrage of the community to discredit the gun lobby as extremists. Because of course the NRA is involved.
Of course they are.
Are we surprised? Anybody?
No.
No. Okay.
No, not at all.
It's like, I'll never forget that video of the leader of the NRA that used to pop up on TV all the time with him holding a musket and he's like shaking because he's so old. And he was like, "You'll have to pry this out of my cold, dead hands." And I'll never forget that. And that's always just going to be the NRA to me.
Wasn't his name like Wayne Lapierre or something?
I don't fucking know. Who cares?
Oh, okay.
Who cares?
If I'm right, just know that was a wild guess.
I don't know. I don't fucking know. It's just, I just will never forget him like being in this like crowd of people holding a musket and be like, "Pry my cold, dead hands." And it was just like, all right.
Okay.
So, as for Martin, he had suffered some pretty good burns from the fire that he had started.
Yeah.
And was being held at Royal Hobart Hospital, which he had been there before. This is his area, right?
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's the hospital he was born at, if I remember correctly. Or no, that was a different hospital. Excuse me. This is the hospital that he was at when he was a kid.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
It's the same burn unit.
Oh my God! Wow.
He was under heavy police guard while waiting trial.
Understandably.
According to a guard, there were at least 2 security guards applications made by individuals seeking to exact retribution on Bryant. They wanted to fucking kill him in his bed, and they should have. On November 22nd, 1996, Bryant was sentenced to, drumroll please, thank you, 35 sentences of life imprisonment for each count of the murder, and sentenced to 25 years for the remaining 36 charges on 5 other offenses: 20 counts of attempted murder, 3 counts of infliction of grievous bodily harm, and the infliction of wounds upon a further 8 persons, 4 counts of aggravated assault, and 1 count of unlawfully setting fire to property. Yes, they got him on the arson charge. All sentences are to run concurrently. He's never getting out, ever.
Good.
Ever. Yep. And I'm sure that the day that he fucking dies, it's going to be a party in Tasmania. I don't know how people have... I assume that he must be in a isolated cell.
Yeah.
Because if he's in Gen Pop, there's not a fucking chance that somebody has murdered this. Like, I just don't... Yeah. I'm shocked that nobody has murdered him yet.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell you that this was the last mass shooting in Australia. I wish that I could look at all of you and tell you that this is the last time it happened. But it's not.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
I know.
December 14, 2025, an anti-Semitic Islamic State-inspired terrorist attack occurred at Archer Park, an area of Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia. A place that I've watched countless hours on of the show Bondi Rescue. Yeah. Love that show. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Bondi Rescue, and they go and like they rescue people on surfboards. It's the fucking coolest.
Oh my god, is it like Baywatch or something?
No, it's kind of more like it's like you ever watch what's that show? Like that first responder TV show.
Oh, okay.
They follow like firefighters.
Yes,
you know, it's like that, like Night Watch.
Oh,
it's like Night Watch, but it's in the day at Bondi Beach, so it's all nice. And they follow the you know the lifeguards, and they're like it's a fun show. Anyway, so over 1,000 people were celebrating Hanukkah as 2 gunmen opened fire, taking the lives of 15 people, including 11 men, 3 women, and a 10-year-old girl. The Bondi Beach shooting was the worst mass shooting since Port Arthur, even after Australia's famous buyback program. Mm-hmm. The surviving suspect was actually just in court in February, and I'm sure more details will arise. And I look at the shooting, and I look at the people who chased down the one gunman. They stole his weapon, even after getting shot, stole his weapon away from him, and the cops shot him, shot the bad guy, and killed him, which is good, fuck that guy. And I look at the people who were in Port Arthur that day, who laid over the top of their loved ones, sacrificing their lives in attempts to save them. Heroes. Mm-hmm. But it's as we look back over the last 30 years since Port Arthur, I can't help but to sigh, to be honest. Since 1996, Australia has had a handful of mass shootings. Nothing clearly as bad as the Bondi Massacre and Port Arthur, but there has been several shootings since then. While the U.S. has had hundreds. I did the math earlier. Like I looked it up and was looking at that statistic. Oh, hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds. Yeah. Schools, malls, businesses, and more. While I am a proud gun owner myself, we should all take a moment as gun owners and think about the chaos that happens every single day and wonder why the fuck we haven't done anything about it. How many Port Arthurs do we need to have before we decide to make a change? Thank you.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I agree. Because...
You know? Come on.
The rules and regulations that Australia implemented after Port Arthur.
Oh, it'd be diabolical here.
I mean, it's... Like, they can still have guns.
Oh, yeah. They still have guns.
Like, that's not the thing. But, like, the way that you have to go about getting one, the security measures you have to have it in your home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They did it correct.
Yeah.
The way that they said, we're not going to let this just continue to happen.
And
to the best of our ability.
Somebody is going to argue with you and go like, well, look what happened at Bondi Beach. And it's like, it's been 30 fucking years.
Yeah.
30 years.
How many shootings do we have in the U.S. that are not in the news? And we've become so desensitized to it because they happen so frequently.
Yeah.
Oh,
every day.
Every day.
There is a school shooting or some sort of shooting somewhere every day.
I bet there was one today.
Guarantee it.
I mean, there was the shooting that happened at the Hillsborough house.
Yeah.
And like you think of that as like this fun, like little quirky, hey, it's an airplane house. And there were kids having a party and there was a shooting that happened there. It's like you can't take anything for granted. And it's like, for me, I guess I get like, I'll say this, like, I have never felt that I needed that.
Mm-hmm.
I felt, and it's not to say anything about anybody else, but it's like I have used weapons when I was in the military. I could tell you this, I've never taken anybody's life. I'm grateful for that. And I have always had such a respect that I feel like once I go down that road,
mm-hmm.
it's going to be a period of growth and a seriousness that I don't want to face right now.
Yeah.
I like being Chill Bill. I like being whoever I am,
mm-hmm.
because I don't know that I myself would be able to walk away from that and still be able to cherish the person that I am.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but it's like when I think about that exists out in the world,
mm-hmm.
and the fact that the answer so oftentimes is to go one way or another, I can say that if the Bondi attack had happened and it's been 30 years, my only thing I could say is Australia didn't face any sort of tyranny to the point where they had to worry about everyday citizens having to worry about a government killing them. That can happen,
mm-hmm.
but this is one of those sort of things where I'm grateful that it has had the effect that it has. And to know that level of terror exists out in the world genuinely makes me feel like whatever measures you can take to keep that from ever happening again should be done with the understanding that you still have to respect some people's rights, and they allowed them to still have firearms.
Yeah.
So it's like, it can work, and I think the level of effort that was put into it in addressing that, I think is really something to be said. And me putting my own job that I do here, if you look into what happened at Fairview, which is like the worst of the worst mental health institutions in Oregon's history, Oregon had to flip and go way, way, way over the line to give people who have intellectual disabilities the rights that they have, because they so fucked it up. And I feel like Australia's actions there were because this was such a monumentous fuck up that they had to do something. And I think a lot of the time governments, they might be heavy-handed, but if it works, it works. And that's all I'll say.
In case you're wondering, there was a school shooting yesterday. So,
Surprise!
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
Okay.
it was in Pauls Valley, Oklahoma, and a principal was he was shot in the leg, but he was able to wrestle the gunman before he was able to kill anybody. So,
Wow.
good job,
See,
principal.
Good job.
Proud of you.
I'm not anti-gun,
No,
but I know that Australia they've had shootings here and there, but they made a change to the laws and the legislation around it, and it has positively impacted them, because if you look at from Port Arthur to now, compared to the U.S. This year, we have had way more shootings this year than they have had in a
30 years.
30-year span.
Yeah.
And people can disagree with me all they fucking want. It's not going to change my opinion.
Well, one thing I think about is you think of Australia mass shootings. What are the last 30 years? Port Arthur, Bondi Beach.
Yeah.
Now let's do last 30 years in America. We'll start off with Columbine. We'll do Columbine. We can do it's not really the last 30 years, but like Waco's kind of in there. It's almost 30 years, right? We can do Uvalde, Sandy Hook,
Park Lane,
Mandalay Bay.
I remember the Clackamas Town Center.
Here, it's local.
Yeah.
I mean, we can just go on and on and on and on. That can be the next 2 hours of this podcast. It's just naming every giant mass shooting that's happened in the United States. But yet, here we are. So, did everyone have fun?
I wouldn't say fun.
I felt like this episode would be the one that I feel like it was important for me to tell this episode more than anyone. Mm-hmm. Because they say that you look on the day you were born, you look at those who died on your birthday, and that's like your consciousness being passed on, right, to you. And when I learned that the worst mass shooting in Australia's history happened on my birthday, it had this profound thing on me of like, I feel like we need to tell the story of these people because, no one else really is.
Yeah.
And the heroes of those who sacrifice their lives or put their lives on the line to save those around them, whether family, friends, or strangers. And those are the first responders who went out there to manage the chaos of the scene, or those at the hospitals who had never seen injuries like this other than maybe in war and were able to treat it. But I'm not going to do socials. You know where to find us. Send the descriptions down below. It's one of these episodes where we're not going to do that. But I think you guys know what I'm going to say at the end of this. So maybe we can join in. Remember to stay spooky.
Stay haunted.
And fuck Martin Bryant.
Fuck you, dude.
Fuck you. He's real quick. He's still alive. He's in prison right now. Someone find him and fucking kill him with your bare hands. Yeah. For legal reasons, that's a joke. You know what I mean. Find him. All right, bye.
Yes.
Bye.